Hello! Hi! This is, wow, oh my goodness, day 33 of these videos. My name's Zach Rohr, I'm HIV positive, and, uh, well, it's interesting. 33 days later, and I'm in a weird state of, calm, but anxious. Also, today's date is August 26, 2015. I don't know why that's relevant. I just usually say it in the beginning of these videos. And I think what's really on my heart to talk about today is where is a cure? And I had a really interesting conversation with someone today where we talked about, how the medication is really strong, and especially when you take a genotype test, they can target, what medication specifically for your body, and it really helps in the process of making sure that it works and that you stay alive, and that, for pretty much, the rest of my life, I just take these meds, but I'm given the same diagnosis and outcome of someone who isn't infected. So I think in the spirit of that, I think a lot of people kind of put this in the back of their head because nobody's really dying from this anymore. And I get that. I understand that. And I understand kind of how short the attention span the human race has when it's not on the news. And I think we know that with a lot of issues that happen. You kind of have a sensationalism about it for a little bit, and then once it becomes old hat, and just kind of goes to the back. And I think being so fresh and so recently diagnosed, I am grateful for the medication. I'm excited to be on it. It's been, painted very clear to me that, again, staying on the medication, not missing a day, and, eating right and living a healthy life, I'm literally going to be okay. Literally going to be okay. And that's exciting. But it's still not a cure. And I guess I fear that deep down, people, the community, whatever you want to call it, I think it's upsetting in a way that, we let it kind of fall to the back burner. I'm not saying that there isn't someone in a lab coat right now who is, finding a cure. I'm sure there are tons of people right now who are doing just that. But I just question, do we have something? Do we have anything ready now? Are we able? What are the real questions that we need to ask, and what are the honest answers that we're going to get, I think is what I'm trying to say. One of the interesting things that keeps coming up, and a lot of, not just the conversation that I had today, but a conversation on a broad range of people, is that every time I have a conversation about this with someone, it always kind of comes to the same conclusion of, I'm sure there's a cure now, it's just in a lab, locked up, because someone's making a buttload of money making sure that people stay sick and on medication. And that theory really frustrates me, because, they say money changes people, but I'd like to think that even with, the promise of $1 billion, I could walk away and say, no, I'd rather, there be a cure. And I guess this is just kind of me venting my frustration that should that be a reality, if it is I'm not saying it is, it's hypothetical. I mean, who knows? I don't know the powers that be, but it just it frustrates me, because I guess I'm just a big believer that if we can cure the human ailment, we should cure, the human ailment of different things, whether it be diseases or sicknesses and things of that nature. And it's just kind of, but that's kind of just been what's going around my brain today. It's just, the thought of, is there a cure? Are we closer to a cure? Would someone put off a cure to make some money? Which I find is really just sickening, the thought of that. And it's, interestingly enough, a thought that a lot of people share. I don't know if anyone would flat out, go up on the news and accuse anyone directly of this. You must have a cure, because we really don't know. I don't know. For all I know, that we really still are about 5-10 years off from a cure. But I would hate to think that anything would be delayed in the name of profits. I think that's just probably one of the worst things that we could do to ourselves. If there is a cure, let's hope it's brought out as soon as possible, because it's one of those things where it's all good and dandy when you don't have to deal with this firsthand, but dealing with this first, and I admit I'm just as guilty. Before I was Paz, it was clearly something not in my forefront of the attention. It was very easy to be like, well, yeah, we'll have it eventually. The cure will be here eventually. And then, I go on with my day. But now that I'm here, it's brought me to a whole new level of respect and understanding about how important it is to not slow down on medical advancements and medical breakthroughs just because it's not as pressing. This does still infect people. It is still a risky scenario. And while, if you treat it and you take care of it and you're on top of it, you're okay, it's still something that I firmly believe we should have a cure for. And, while I'm at it, I'll throw my hat into cancer as well. I guess maybe I'm looking at, a simplified view of just a shot or a pill when I speak of these things. But, because I do understand cancer can be cured through different means, but in the sense of having a bona fide, shot in the arm, a regimen therapy of taking these pills for the 6 months, and then you go a year, and then you check to see how your levels are. It's just, I wish we had something. I wish people. What am I trying to work for? What am I trying to word this out? Work for? What do I mean by that? I guess what I'm trying to say is I wish it excited and motivated people to... How to word this? I wish that it excited people more that the idea of finding a cure for things was in that of itself the reward. That to say that you defeated, HIV and AIDS, I'm pretty sure that if you're the person who could fund that or figure that out, I would not doubt to see one day a statue in your honor. It's one of those things where why is it that we don't value these things more? We almost almost look at it secondary. It's a great achievement, but we're not like, it's more laid back, and maybe this is just my viewpoint, but I wish more people got excited about science in that way. I really do. I wish more people, got giddy over the idea that they could cure AIDS, or they could cure cancer, or, they figure out how to defeat this. These things really should be revered as great accomplishments for the human race, but nobody looks at it kind of in that sense, or at least we don't look at it that enough, or with that level of excitement. And I really would encourage all of us to kind of take a second look and go, what do we consider advancements in the human race? And I would say advancements in science is a huge part of that. We've almost kind of gotten to an anti-intellectualism kind of period in society where, we might value the fact that our phones get thinner, but we don't really focus as much attention on things like diseases and ailments. Knowing the trends of things, I think it's, I want to sound the alarm that, hey, we should really take science just as seriously, and even though we can keep people living, we really should make sure that the end goal is a cure. I think another great example would be asthma. Asthma is one of those things where it doesn't affect everyone, but it can also apply to everyone. As from what I've been explained, asthma can, come and go. It can depend on, sometimes your upbringing. It all has to do with a lot of different biological parts of your body. But, that's one of those things where they say, just take this inhaler. Hey, hope you're lucky enough to catch it in time before you suffocate. I think it's one of those things where I wish we had a cure for that too. That no one should ever have to, be concerned to the point where they, it's like, oh my God, am I gonna have an asthma attack? Can I be out in that? Can I do this or that? These are all things. Why have we lost this emphasis? Why aren't we excited about helping our own human race? I think that's what's on my mind today. That is what this video journal I want to dedicate it to, because I think I get more and more frustrated as I do my research. I realize that science isn't as revered as it should be. And that's a crime. That's a shame. It really, it baffles me. We have so much technology nowadays. I feel like we got to start picking up that other baton. It's time to really, okay, we've made it this far with computers and phones, and we're getting there with cars. What about science? What about eradicating things? Seriously, it's really getting down to the big topics. I would say out of the two, or out of the many, the big two are HIV and cancer. When we can really begin to learn, how to literally eradicate these things, I think we could take a lot of pride in the human race and knowing that, wow, we're really moving forward. And I'm saying look past, stop looking at red tape. Stop looking at, can we do this? It's how, when we do this. And again, it's so funny. I don't want to say this to sound like, some crazy conspiracy theorist, but it's been very interesting to hear a lot of, I'm saying multiple people's viewpoints, that there's a good chance that there's just some greedy jerk who sits at the top of this money pile, and or this this pharmaceutical company that knows that they can keep these profits as long as they keep people sick. Well, I think that's sick. The idea of it, I can't prove it. No one else has been able to, but that's been the theory. So that's been on my mind. With that, I'm just trying to stay as calm as possible, and that's about it. So I want everyone to chew on that today. Think about it. Do we take science enough? Do we take science seriously enough? And do you think that there is a cure out there? And if you do you really think it's being hidden by a pharmaceutical company? Do you think it's someone who controls these things? Do you wish, that we could be more upfront about this? Because I do. I'm sure there are still a lot of logistical things that are stopping cures from coming out publicly, but I really would hate to think that it's just one company or a group of companies or one person or a group of people who sit there and stare at this vial or this equation or this solution and go, yeah, we might make some money off of the cure, but god damn, we're making billions off of keeping people just getting by. So anyways, with that, think about it. Stay strong.